The sound is a jagged blade of noise. It carves through the humid air of the stadium, and my scanner is pulsing a violent violet. Scanner reading: high-intensity acoustic event. Source: metal cylinder. Damage potential: auditory overload. I am watching 44 humans sprint across a field under the crushing weight of 9.81 meters per square second of gravity. They are colliding with enough force to shatter a Salvari's pearl core. Yet, the human female beside me, Coach Petra, simply exhales and stares at a sun-bleached plastic clipboard. It has teeth marks on the corner. She is not calling for medical evacuations. She is not filing a planetary trauma report. She is chewing. Why? The part that made me file a formal complaint? That comes later. You need to see what these humans consider recreational before you judge my report. Petra, my internal sensors are detecting a mass casualty event on the grass, I said, my pearl-white skin dimming toward a dull gray. The stadium temperature is currently 29 degrees Celsius. My optimal survival window closed 7 degrees ago. I can feel my systems preparing for a thermal shutdown. It's just a fumble, Sorvain, Petra replied without looking up from her charts. Nobody's dead. Probably. The scanner disagrees, I countered. Scanner reading: multiple impacts exceeding 1,200 newtons. Probability of internal structural failure: 98%. But the human players simply stand back up. They do not leak coolant. They do not shatter into dust. One of them actually emits a sharp, barking vocalization. I have classified this as a distress vocalization, though the human appears to be baring its teeth in a predatory display. The object of this war is a stitched leather oval. It is the focus of all this violence. I watched a human child fall off a nearby training structure, impacting the hard earth with a sickening thud. I prepared my morning rites. Instead, the small human stood up, wiped dirt from its knees, and emitted that same barking vocalization. Your offspring is malfunctioning, I noted. It has suffered a kinetic impact and is now making the distress noise. He's laughing, Sorvain, Petra said, finally glancing at me. He's fine. Kids are bouncy. Bouncy, I repeated. I adjusted my scanner to focus on the child. Scanner reading: biological status: optimal. Adrenaline levels rising. Analysis: subject enjoys the impact. Shattered. I began writing my will. If their infants can survive 1G falls with a smile, the adults are effectively indestructible. The heat is becoming an antagonist. It is pressing against my thoracic plates, pushing my core temperature into the red zone. Around us, 50,000 humans are screaming in unison. My scanner is struggling to cope. Scanner reading: ambient noise: 94 dB. Classified as sonic assault. Humans unaffected. Petra, the thermal energy from this crowd is reaching critical levels. By what metric is this a beautiful day? I asked. I showed her the readout. UV index 8. Humidity 78%. It's just football weather, she said, wiping sweat from her forehead. Besides, we only see about 8.1 injuries per 1,000 hours of play. It's a safe game. 8.1 injuries? I hissed. You do this for fun? My bioluminescence flickered. I felt the first signs of shutdown. I looked at the laughing crowd and realized the war wasn't on the field. It was everywhere. The air is shimmering with a visible distortion that makes the yellow goalposts look like they are melting into the sky. Beneath my seat, the electrolyte blue sports drink, a sticky sweet, chemical scent, is rising from the sun-baked concrete as it evaporates into a cloying mist. It is an olfactory warning. My thermal processors are screaming as the crowd surges upward, 100,000 eyes tracking a single trajectory. A player is struck mid-air. The sound of plastic-on-plastic impact echoes through the concrete bowl like a structural collapse. Is that his spine escaping his chassis? I screeched, my voice cracking under the thermal stress. Nah, just a mouthguard, Petra replied, squinting into the glare. But then, the mystery of the mass casualty event unravels into something far more terrifying than a simple war exercise. The fallen player, whose skeletal system should currently be in a state of powdered suspension due to the combined forces of 1g gravity and a 100-kilogram projectile in human form, rolls onto his back and produces that jagged, rhythmic barking sound. He is laughing while clutching a bruised limb. His teammates slap his shoulder pads with enough force to kill a lesser organism, while Coach Petra simply marks a check on her clipboard as if the laws of physics and biology were merely polite suggestions rather than absolute constraints on the universe. My file on human distress vocalizations has officially corrupted. I realized then that the scream isn't a plea for help. It is a celebratory roar. These beings do not merely survive their environment. They mock it. "That's my quarterback," Petra said, her voice filled with a strange, weary pride that made my core flicker in a way that wasn't thermal. She didn't look like a warrior commander overseeing a battlefield. She looked like a woman who had seen this 1,000 times and expected nothing less from her species. I looked at her, then back at the field where the carnage was resuming with even greater intensity. The predator laughed. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated enjoyment in the face of certain biological ruin. "He's tough," she added. Report filed. I have reclassified human recreational sports under the category of high-gravity combat rituals with voluntary cognitive damage. I am formally requesting a reassignment to a planet where the inhabitants do not find amusement in kinetic collisions or 29-degree heat. They do this every day. Every day. I must include this in my final assessment, though I doubt anyone will believe it.